Ayo, is this thing on? What up? It is Rutherford here. Let's see if I can have a good lecture for you here. This is Test7 evolution. We're going to talk about human evolution, making babies, hair, I don't know, cell phone addiction and everything, okay? Day by day, what you do is what you become. Heraclitus, 2,500 years old. This philosopher said this business to help us understand what you do is who you become. It's not dreams, it's not ideas, it's not goals, it's what you do. Are you learning? Are you spending time on your phone? This is your evolution. That's how I'll say it. This is the evolution of you as an individual. Now, the evolution of humans in general, we can talk about, but the way that you are going to change yourself is by doing the right things every day and doing less of the wrong things every day. So let's learn, okay? We have dinosaurs living a long time ago. 66 million years ago, we have the dinosaurs lived from 150-ish million years ago, and then 66 million years ago, there was an KT asteroid that caused a lot of fires, and those fires caused smoke, and that blocked out the sun. Our beautiful sun was blocked out and not able to shine and allow plants to grow, okay? Without as much plant growth, your herbivores, your big dinosaurs, terrible drawing, are going to die. Rip. Without the herbivores there, omnivores and carnivores are going to die, and everything that is big, everything that is cold-blooded, like your dinosaurs, they are going to die. They're going to struggle. There's not enough food, okay? Because the sun is blocked out anywhere from like 2 to 15 years. I'm going to call this asteroid winter, okay? That asteroid winter is a tough time if you're a big, cold-blooded animal, okay? But there were a lot of small things that lived underground and were furry and were that warm-blooded, and they lived underground, and if they're small, they don't need to eat very much food. Those things, looking mostly like rodents, were the only mammals that were alive during our dinosaur age here. That means that once the dinosaurs got unlucky, again, a huge thing in evolution we need to talk about is luck, okay? And if you are unlucky, wrong place, wrong time, based on your environment, if your environment is stable, there's not a lot of evolution. But when the environment changes, then you have either the adaptations that will help you be successful and make babies, or you don't, and you make less babies. Or, in the case of the dinosaurs, perhaps you die. Now, there were a few dinosaurs that did make it, and those were the cold-blooded dinosaurs that were a little bit smaller, and the ones that had feathers. Now, feathers is something that we associate with birds. Birds and dinosaurs were existing at the same time, so birds and dinosaurs do come from a common ancestor, okay, and kind of lived alongside each other. It's hard to tell the difference maybe between a bird and a dinosaur. Like right now, what's the difference between a turtle and a toad? Or sorry, a turtle and a tortoise. Yeah, you could say a difference, but gosh, they look so similar. What's the difference between a frog and a toad? Yeah, there is a difference, but they're looking so similar. That's what I think is the difference between a dinosaur and a bird way back in the day in the dinosaur age, is that like they're just looking so similar. They both had feathers, okay? Now, after the dinosaurs die out, then birds really go for it. Now we have birds all over the place, swimming birds, flying birds, running birds, a whole bunch of different types of birds. But in the case of the dinosaurs, we have to think, whenever you're talking about evolution, you have to think of the steps, the small steps that it takes to get somewhere, okay? So it's not like you just have a dinosaur and, you know, mama dinosaur has no feathers and she gives birth to a baby dinosaur that has full feathers and that dinosaur starts flying. That's not how birds evolve. That's not how dinosaurs evolve. You have to take very small steps. So we got like mama dinosaur has no feathers, right? And she has mutations in her DNA, or daddy dinosaur has mutations in her DNA. Those mutations in DNA Mutations happen all the time. They can happen by radiation from the sun. Mutations can happen anytime that you replicate your DNA before you go through mitosis or meiosis. Whenever you are making a new cell, you can have mutations happen, and DNA replication you can make a mistake. And a mistake in the DNA, a mistake in DNA is a mutation. If you change the DNA, then you will change the protein. And guess what feathers are made of? Proteins, okay? Feathers are proteins. Skin color is proteins. Hair is proteins. Everything in your body that's functioning is going to be a protein. You've got working proteins that are enzymes, and you've got structural proteins like feathers or hair, or a ton of other structures inside of your body. Okay, so if you mess those up, you will then get mutated proteins, okay, or proteins that didn't exist there before. And so in this situation, you have dinosaurs with feathers. They did not have them before. And so they come in and they are, hey Larry, the dinosaurs did not have any feathers, and then they have a mutation, and all of a sudden they are making feathers, okay? That is a new protein that came out of nothing. So we have to think, what are the small steps that make feathers useful? Because flight is not the first thing that's going to happen with feathers. We have step one, even if you have tiny feathers, they will be warmer, okay? Step two, if those feathers make you warmer, then maybe you keep around that protein, it gets more mutated, and the feathers get slightly bigger. Then perhaps, if you are a small dinosaur, you can start running, before gliding, you can start running, flapping your wings, and running faster, okay? With like little raptors and stuff like that. Of course, there were big dinosaurs that evolved feathers for warmth as well. Most of them really just evolved it for warmth, and they stopped there. That was the deal. But then, if you have slightly bigger feathers, and you happen to be a small dinosaur, again, a lot of this is luck, okay? You happen to be a small dinosaur, you happen to get the mutations that give you feathers that are slightly bigger, and you can run like this. You may have seen a chicken do that, okay? That is a thing that a lot of raptors were doing, okay? Then our third step is going to be gliding, okay? If you're jumping from tree to tree and you got a little glide effect, there's a lot of mammals that do that now. There's plenty of birds that do that. If you're running downhill, if you're running really fast, you can get a little bit of lift and get some gliding in there. And then only some of the smallest dinosaurs, only some of the luckiest dinosaurs are going to actually use this for flight, okay? Use that feathers for flight. And of course then, that branched off, and some of the dinosaurs are flying, some of them are gliding, some of them are running faster, and some of them are warm. So we have dinosaurs in all categories, and we probably have birds in all categories, right? The birds were small enough and warm enough and were able to fly enough that they could go and find food. They didn't need as much food because they were small, okay? So the birds are really the ones that are doing most of the surviving, along with the mammals. Your mammals over here, small little rodents, furry, warm-blooded deals, then start to get bigger, okay? Only because they were lucky. In the right environment, after the asteroid hit, they can start to make more babies, which is the way that evolution is going to happen, okay? They have the adaptations at the right time, they make more babies, and if you make more babies, then that is what the population is going to look like in the future, and then that contributes to evolution. Skip ahead to human evolution, skipping ahead to human evolution, which, like, the first step that we can get to, move this over a little bit, the first step is going to be bipedalism, okay? About 7 million years ago, we have the first human ancestors, which again, not Homo sapiens, not Homo anything, right? We have this genus called Australopithecus, okay? And a bunch of other things that are just, you need to think like some sort of ape ancestor. It didn't really look like humans, totally covered in hair, and we have the first evolutionary step is bipedalism, okay? And again, that has a lot of minor steps in it. One of the things that would need to happen for bipedalism is your pelvis needs to shift, okay? Your spine needs to curve so that you can absorb impact when you're standing upright like this. You need to get a big butt, big toe, like the big toe itself needs to be quite big. And then you've got big calves so that you can absorb impact, okay? And then of course that comes with a big heel. So all of these mutations change the structure of our body very slowly over a long period of time, okay? Hundreds of thousands of years, a long, long time, you know, for all of these things to come together in certain apes that eventually became our ancestors. Now, did every single ape at that time have those mutations and get that changed pelvis, get that S-curved spine, and all those things? No. There's plenty that branched off. So you can kind of think of, as this is branching, some are going to stay the same, and then you have continuous kind of branching off, and then a lot of animals, this is not going to become a human, that's 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 not going to become a human, not that, not that, not that. But then all the way down here, we have the thing called Homo sapiens. 315,000 years ago is when we're officially calling it Homo sapiens, right? But the Homo genus with Homo neanderthalis, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, I mean the upright ape, okay? That stuff's happening like anywhere from 5 to 2 million years ago is when we start to see those other type of human-like things coming on the scene. But all of those have now gone extinct, okay? So each way as different things kind of branch off and get different mutations or don't get mutations and don't change so much, they either have evolved into something different, or in the case of all the other species in the Homo genus, they've gone extinct now, okay? The next step that happens after you can stand upright, I mean, that's such a big thing. Obviously, we have like opposable thumbs, and there's so many different things, but I'm gonna talk about hair here, okay? We are the hairless ape, okay? Once you stand up on two legs, what that means is you're doing more walking, and you are spreading out in the desert, savanna, okay? If you can move, because before that, most of our ancestors are staying in the trees, staying in the forest / jungle, I should say, okay? And then if certain things get mutations that allows them to go to a new environment, if you're in a new environment, because you have adaptations, you have access to more food. And more food, okay, food or warmth, anything that helps you survive is going to allow you to make more babies. So if you can walk around to a different environment, you have access to more food than any of the other apes that are just staying in the forest and the jungle and the trees, okay? So walking around on the desert savanna, then, as you can imagine, gets hot, hot heat. That leads to our second big evolutionary step, which is going to be losing hair, loss of hair, okay? And then that leads to sweating. We are one of the only mammals that's doing a lot of sweating and to cool ourselves off, and we're spending a lot of time in the heat. We have evolved to be able to thermoregulate very well by sweating and having a loss of hair. But we keep hair in certain spots. So that's where we start to think about why did we keep some types of hair and lose other types of hair, okay? Your eyebrows keep around because we are social creatures, okay? Eyelashes is actually natural selection so that we can keep our eyes, you know, free of debris and dirt. Nose hair, also natural selection to keep bacteria and viruses out if it's covered with mucus, right? Facial hair is going to be a type of sexual selection, which probably came about way later because only males have this, okay? And arm hair is also going to be a type of natural selection so that we can feel insects, likely feeling insects that might be poisonous, because most things are poisonous, little small creatures that are poisonous. Arm hair, keeping a little bit of that doesn't help with sunburn. By the way, sunburns, okay? Once you lose your hair, yes, you are cooler, but you have the problem of sunburns, okay? So evolution makes little changes and then adjusts on those changes. It never makes perfect changes, and it's never going in a particular direction. Remember, evolution is luck and evolution is random, okay? Which we do need to eventually get to phones, because that is the most unlucky thing that randomly happened to you and us, all humans, okay? That's just a reminder to get there. So cooler, but sunburn. Sunburn, that's more mutations, and not the good types of mutations. These are the types of mutations that lead to cancer and death, right? Not the right type. You want a little bit of mutations in some areas. You really don't want too many. It is this weird balance that evolution has, okay? So to prevent sunburn, we have the evolution of head hair, okay? I should just, the evolution of head hair there that is going to keep sunburn. I think that it never stops growing to protect your shoulders from sunburn, okay? All right, yeah, cool. That covers a lot of good stuff. Let me just clarify that social. We are social creatures. We have to work together. We are physically inferior, okay? We are weak, okay? We are weak, we are slow, we are not very deadly, okay? But we did get these big brains, okay? And those big brains allow us to work together socially, okay? And working together, cooperation, is the big strength of being a human being. And what I've said before is the essence of a good life. The good life is proven by the Harvard study, 85 years of studying human beings over 85 years, their entire lives and their things, is now published by a book literally called The Good Life, okay? The key to the good life is, of course, for human beings who are social creatures, relationships, okay? Being in relation, quality relationships, okay? Being able to get along, being able to work together, being able to cooperate. Quality relationships, which is really being fought hard with phones, which are isolating people, okay? And in my opinion, the worst invention in the worst evolution that we've seen in the history of human beings, okay? But let's go back to our third step here. First step, walking around. Second step, a lot of changes in hair. Now, of course, there's a ton of steps that I'm not saying here, okay? But that third step, I really want to talk about fire. Fire is a huge step, which perhaps I've seen, it's hard to know exactly when that happened because it's not in the fossil record. You just like have to look at, you know, like caves and bones and just see if there's charred ash and evidence of that. Very, very hard to know exactly when that happened, but about 1 million years ago, way before humans. Remember, humans is 315,000 years ago, okay? Homo sapiens. So before that, a lot of things were using fire. And the deal with fire is that fire allows you to cook your food, which gives you more nutrients. If you have more nutrients, you can feed that big brain, okay? That big brain is going to be the thing that allows us to cooperate, to work together, okay? To run down that animal and strategize. That's how most of this running being a huge part in human evolution, as you know, with big calves, big toes, standing upright, looking forward, running, jogging out there is how we are going to exhaust those four-legged animals that cannot sweat. But we can sweat and we can keep going. We can breathe freely because we're not walking on all fours. we can just chill, we can just jog, we can work together and exhaust the animals, cooperating with our big brains and bringing home some food. Then, da-da-da-da, fire, okay? The fire allows us to cook our food and use our big brains. But there are two types of learning, okay? Two types of learning that we have talked about. You can go on a hunt yourself and figure it out. You can try by yourself or try with your friends, and you can trial and error, okay? By yourself, you can do an experiment, okay? And trial and error is how you can figure anything out. The other way is stories, learning from others. And this is my theory that I'm putting out here, that fires, specifically campfires, late at night, after we've cooked and we've gotten more nutrients for our big brains, campfires are when we were able to sit for stories and learn, okay? Learning from stories, learning from other people, learning from me right now, learning from other people that tell you stories about the world and the future and college and careers and blah, 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 blah. You can get so much more out of that because you can't go to the future and do that stuff, right? Maybe if you're a young child sitting around the campfire listening to our ancestors tell stories of, we went on this hunt and we went and did this and we found this place where there was food and water and blah, 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 blah. Learning all those stories is a massive, massive benefit. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, why I am so proud to be your teacher. Because all I do is give you experiments that you can do on yourself and tell you stories so that you can learn. That is the essence of school. That is the essence of teaching, is getting together, talking about things together, and expanding our brains, learning more things through repetition, changing our brains, and evolving as individuals. We will evolve, we will change, we will improve as individuals, so that we can understand the problems with phones and understand the movements of evolution. Now, of course, what I've talked about with dinosaurs and human hair and everything, that is changing the DNA. That is very slow. Takes hundreds of thousands of years. You have to wait for reproduction. You have to wait for a mutation to randomly happen in your DNA, okay? But you can evolve your phone usage and your brain, you can evolve that in minutes. You can evolve that in days. Whereas waiting for your DNA to change is going to take 10,000 years, 50,000 years, 160, whatever. You've got lots and lots of years to just wait for basic evolution. So how are humans evolving now? It's like, okay, maybe in 150,000 years we won't have an appendix anymore. You won't have wisdom teeth, okay? 150,000 years from now? All right. But in minutes, every day, you can be changing and evolving as an individual by changing your brain, by repeating the good stuff and eliminating the bad stuff. So I am happy to be here as your teacher to tell you for the first time in my teaching career about my theory of campfire learning and stories being the most powerful force in human evolution to ramp up human evolution so fast to get us to where we are now, which, again, arguably is tough considering that we had developed a lot of technology and stuff, but we'll figure out how to use it, okay, in the right way that's healthy. But the huge evolutionary jump here, I am going to call TLC, the teenager learning campfire hypothesis, okay? This is why teens stay up late, why your brain is wired to stay up late, and perhaps you're watching this video late at night, is because as a teen versus a child, you are having brain development now. Right now is brain development time. As a child, you were doing more developing. As a child, more of your development is going to be categorized as your physical body, okay? You're learning more to hold a pencil and be nice to people, and your body is literally changing, growing. I mean, think about the difference between a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, right? Think about the difference between a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Massive, massive changes in your physical body, lots of development. Of course, children are learning. They're learning totally, right? But once you come up to be a teen, once you hit that puberty, you are going to be doing, at this point, you are ready for massive brain development. Now is the time for you to learn in school, to learn from your teachers, to learn from stories, to sit around in the dark and learn from other people's experiences. That doesn't mean that you don't do experiments yourselves. You don't go try new sports and new musical instruments and, do your own research and figure things out and, figure out what you like and everything. You're doing both of these things at the same time, okay? But you are so much, trust me, I taught middle school, right? And we know you probably got younger siblings. Teaching children through stories, they don't remember, they don't learn from them as much, okay? They're more just like they're along for the ride. They're just having a good time, okay? And yes, they are picking up some, but you guys can really listen. You can really capture the attention of a teenager if you do it in the right way and they are not distracted by their freaking phones, okay? Attention is your most valuable resource. Speaking of resources like food or having feathers or anything else that helps you survive in your environment, attention is your most valuable resource that you can guard and you can protect. And phones are almost entirely a distraction. They are numbing you, they are a drug, they are just meant to just keep you distracted all day long. That is how they have been designed, is to keep you on them, because then people make more money off of you the more that you are staring at that and distracted. That's the drug that you're having problems with, okay? Gosh, I gotta just, the more you can get rid of that phone business, okay, the more that you can understand, listen, you are unlucky in this environment where smartphones are a super normal thing, but the essence to a good life is forming those relationships with your teachers, with your friends, with your family, with someone in real life face to face, because that is how humans evolved. Humans evolved to run together, to work together, to learn together, to sweat together, to chase down animals together, to experiment together, to play sports together. That is what humans evolved socially to do, okay? So working on that stuff is really going to help you out. Now, the last thing I have to talk about, of course, as a big component to evolution is how do you even get that child in the first place? We talked about mutations to DNA potentially leading to evolution and mutations, right? From a child, we have a baby. Before the baby, it was a fetus. Before the fetus, we can call it an embryo. Fetus is only for mammals, okay? And that development coming from a blastocyst. The blastocyst is after 1 week after the sperm meets the egg, okay? So we got the sperm meeting the big old egg, okay? And then those fertilize together. Fertilization makes the zygote, and that zygote will go through mitosis for 1 week to form this little ball of cells called the blastocyst, okay? That doesn't look like a little human at all, okay? If that keeps going for another month, then you will start to see an embryo. You look like a little alien fishy thing. And then, of course, you start looking like a mammal pretty soon, okay? And so way, way, way back here in fertilization between the egg and the sperm, we got to talk about how the sperm is made, and then we can talk about how the egg is made as well, okay? Both of these are through a process, not mitosis, okay? Because mitosis is how you are going to get bigger and grow. Mitosis is growth, okay? And then, of course, you have development. First, you got to make the cells, okay? You got to make new cells, and then you can have the cells specialize and become really good at their function, okay? And that's what happens in school, but that also happens with your cells after they get there. It's like your cells have to get good at doing liver stuff or stomach stuff or brain stuff. And that development That is really where your brain gets connected. Your brain cells are there. You just got to get them connected. That's what it is right now as a teenager and when you're in school as a child. This is growing season, my friends. Your brain is trying to make connections. You are trying to learn things, and those learning things, that is through connections, okay? So, but way back here, when we have the sperm knocking on the door of the egg here, the point of fertilization is to make this zygote diploid. Diploid means that you have a full set of DNA, which for humans is 23 pairs, 46 total, okay? And that is called 2N, because you have 2 of each. 23 pairs means that you have 2 of each, one from mom, one from dad. So dad has N and put it in the sperm. Mom has N and puts it in the egg. Together they get 2N, okay? So what that's called is haploid, okay? And that's just 23 for humans. And then we also have 23 of those inside the egg, the nucleus of the egg, and that's also haploid. So haploid egg, haploid sperm, fertilize to make diploid zygote, okay? The gonads are what's going to make the egg and the sperm. You know the name of the egg sperm, or the sperm gonads, testicles. The female gonads are going to be ovaries, right? And that fertilization and then the development of the new baby is going to be in the uterus, okay? And I wanted to call these right here, your sperm and your egg fall under the category of gametes, okay? So gonads make the gametes. Gonads make the gametes. Sperm and egg are the gametes. They are haploid, okay? And the process of making haploid gametes is different than mitosis. Mitosis is making normal diploid cells. But if you are making haploid cells, that process is called I should really spell that out. Meiosis, okay? Meiosis is that process there, which is going to make your haploid sperm and egg. So, if you are mommy dinosaur who doesn't have any feathers, but your baby has feathers, how does that even happen? That must have happened because mom or dad made an egg or a sperm with a mutation. If there is a random mistake in the DNA, okay, because every time you're working with DNA, every time you're living, the mistake in DNA could happen anytime that you are replicating your DNA, okay, or there's some sort of radiation, your DNA can get damaged. If it's the sperm or the egg that gets damaged, that can change your child and contribute to evolution. If you get sunburned, okay, if you have some sort of like sunburn happening up here that's going to mutate your DNA. If your sunburn mutates your DNA, you don't pass it on to your kids, okay? What the mutations that occur in your skin, you're not going to pass that on to your kids, okay? It's only the mutations that happen in your gonads or your gametes that could potentially be passed on to your offspring, giving you different types of dinosaurs, different types of humans with less hair or longer growing hair, and boom. I'm out.